Hi BookTube! I'm finally back. After a few weeks on vacation with family and friends, I am ready to get back to the book, so to speak. I've been excited to make this video because it is about something I love. A great book series. I am almost always working on at least one book series at a time. In fact, it was a book series in second grade that really ignited my love of reading. So today I thought it would share some of my favorites. Let's dive into my top 10 book series that I've read so far. So before we begin, let's set some expectations. First, I decided to talk about the book series that I have read throughout my life that were the best reading experience for me. Second, I decided that it's okay to include a series that either A, isn't finished, or B, I haven't finished, as long as I have read the majority of the books that are currently released.
Let's get to the books already.
Number 10. The ACOTAR series by Sarah J. Maas.
If you're on BookTube, Bookstagram, BookTok, or have walked into a bookstore in the last few years, chances are you've heard of the ACOTAR series by Sarah J. Maas. If you're like me, you may have written it off as too popular and avoided it for a long time, but I finally gave it a read because my two besties literally talked about this author every single time we hung out, and I just had to see what the hype was all about. A Court of Thorns and Roses, otherwise popularly known as ACOTAR, is a fantasy romance series that starts with Feyre, a mortal who gets caught up in the Fey world and eventually becomes a part of it. There's definitely a lot of spice in this series, especially the last book, which I normally am not a major fan of, but I have to say, Sarah J. Maas does a great job writing about the political intrigue in this series. I blew through these books and became really invested in the characters. My favorite book in the series is A Court of Mist and Fury, which dives into one of my favorite characters. This series is definitely more than a spicy romance. It's found family, fantasy, love, and epic battles between good and evil. The characters have great depth and development, the action is exciting and had me on the edge of my seat over and over again. I really enjoyed this one, so I gave it 4 stars. I think it's definitely worth a read. I will say, I have since tried reading the Crescent City series and could not get into it, but I really want to read the Throne of Glass series, which I hear is Sarah J. Maas's best. Let me know what you think in the comments.
Number 9. The Circle series by Ted Dekker.
This next series is one that I loved when I was in high school. I would be surprised if you've heard of it, but I think that's a real shame because it is a great time. The Circle series by Ted Dekker begins with Thomas Hunter, a writer, who suffers a head injury one day, then starts having strange dreams. Every time he falls asleep in the real world, he wakes up in another fantastical world, and vice versa. In the real world, terrorists are threatening to unleash a deadly virus, while his dream world is caught in a literal battle between good and evil. Thomas finds himself racing against time to prevent catastrophes in both worlds. This series has so much fantasy, realism, it's sometimes spooky, often thrilling, there's a love story, and so much more. I can't explain it too much without spoilers, but definitely check it out. When I first read this series, it was a trilogy. Since then, a new book, Green, was added. I read recently that it is both a prequel and a sequel, thus bringing the series full circle. I may need to do a reread so I can then read the new book. If you have heard of this series and read the whole thing, let me know. I would love to hear what you thought.
Number 8. The Kingkiller Chronicle by Patrick Rothfuss.
The next series should be higher on my list, but let me explain. It's The Kingkiller Chronicle by Patrick Rothfuss. If you're a Rothfuss fan, you already know where I'm headed. This series is amazing. If you're a fan of Brandon Sanderson, you'll most likely love these books as well. The Kingkiller Chronicles tells the story of Kvothe, a musician who was orphaned at a very young age. We follow his journey for revenge, struggling to attend a magical academy, interacting with Fae, and more. Patrick Rothfuss is an incredible writer who really developed some amazing characters in this series. In working on this video, even though I am not much of a rereader, I'm feeling the urge to reread this series. The reason it isn't higher on my list is that the series is unfinished and has been for a long time. This is supposed to be a trilogy, and we even have the title of the 3rd book, but no idea how long it will be or if it will be released. It has been over a decade since the last book was published. There are plenty of videos on the ins and outs of this, but needless to say, it is hard to truly rank this until the series is complete. On the flip side, let the fact that it is on my list show you how much I love these books as they are. I always warn people that the series is unfinished, but then reassure them that it is so good, it is still worth reading.
Number 7. Red Rising by Pierce Brown.
The next series is another that I'm sure you've heard of elsewhere on BookTube, and for good reason. That's Red Rising by Pierce Brown. Red Rising is an incredible sci-fi series that follows Darrow, a member of the lowest class in his society, as he first realizes the level of corruption in his government and then fights to take them down. I would describe the vibe of the series as Ender's Game meets The Hunger Games. It is politically complex, action-packed, has awesome found family elements, and more. Reading these books feels like watching a great movie. You'll laugh, cry, and your jaw will drop. It's incredible. I'll leave it at that because there are so many videos out on this series right now, but rest assured, it is worth your time.
Number 6. The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins.
Which brings me to my next favorite series, The Hunger Games. Hands down, I will read anything Suzanne Collins writes. I have been a fan of hers for way longer than I realized. For those 90 kids out there, did you know she used to be a writer for the show Clarissa Explains It All? Anyway, I have yet to be disappointed by any of her books. The original trilogy of The Hunger Games follows Katniss, a girl living in a poor district in a dystopian world decades after a bloody revolution that led to the institution of the Hunger Games, a fight to the death in which districts are forced to enter their children every year. Katniss ends up as a competitor, and we follow her through danger, political maneuvering, and more. These books are exciting, heavy, and clever. I'm always impressed by the sophisticated politics that Suzanne Collins interweaves throughout these books. But not only is she great at writing political intrigue, she does an awesome job with character development and relationships. You will be moved, you will root for and against many characters, you'll be surprised, you'll be heartbroken. Need I say more? Phew, let's take a quick break. Hey, Chris.
Yeah, Katie?
Ready for the word of the day?
You know it.
Awesome. Let's do it.
The word of the day is plethora, meaning fullness. This word originated as a medical term referring to an excess of bodily fluids. Gross. Now the word refers to an overabundance or excessive quantity of something. So, to use it in a sentence, you could say, Katie has a plethora of books on her TBR list. Don't we all?
So much to do, and so little time.
Number 5. The Robot Series by Isaac Asimov.
This next series is another one that I don't hear discussed enough on BookTube, and that is the Robot series by Isaac Asimov. You might have heard of the movie I, Robot. That is based on one of the books in the series. I've never actually seen the movie, so I can't tell you how accurate it is to the original material, but the book was incredible. As a psychology and sociology nerd, I really appreciate Isaac Asimov's understanding of human psychology that comes through in his stories. When I first read this series, I kept referencing it to my psychology and sociology students. Asimov even wrote a book on the human brain, so he really knows his stuff. But back to the series. This series is essentially Isaac Asimov's brilliant combination of sci-fi and detective story. We follow a detective in the future, a future in which robots are a part of society, as he solves crimes. This series really does a great job of exploring the implications of a world in which humanoid robots are prevalent. What kind of laws would exist in this kind of world? What rights would sentient robots have? It reminds me of the way Gene Roddenberry explores these topics with characters like Data in the Star Trek universe. In other words, it's deep and thought-provoking. I honestly think this is a great series for just about anyone. If you like crime, mysteries, futuristic, sci-fi, or if you enjoy thoughtful storytelling, you'll like this series. Bonus, these books are short, so it is not a crazy commitment compared to most of the other series on this list.
Number 4. The Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson.
Speaking of series that would be a major commitment, let's talk about one of my absolute favorites, The Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson. In my opinion, Sanderson is probably the best fantasy writer in the game right now. Not only is he prolific, I've been reading him for years and barely scratched the surface of his repertoire, but he writes incredibly fun fantasy that is deeply complex and interwoven. His world building is unmatched by any modern writer I've read yet. To give some background, the Stormlight Archive is an epic fantasy set in a world plagued by magical storms and ancient secrets. The series explores themes like honor, trauma, leadership, and the weight of destiny. I love that it's unafraid to look at its characters as broken people who are learning to persevere. These characters each have to confront their pasts while also uncovering the truth about a forgotten war, the legendary Knights Radiant, and a looming threat that could destroy their world of Roshar again. I think I heard someone on BookTube. Was it you, Smitty?
It was not, in fact, Smitty, but Daniel Green who made this connection. And in a much more interesting way than what Katie is about to describe. Sorry, Daniel. Be sure to check both of these booktubers out if you haven't already. Anyway,
Describe the series as the fantasy book equivalent of the Marvel Universe, meaning Sanderson interweaves so many characters and storylines in such crazy awesome ways. Personally, I have told my husband that reading this series feels a bit like watching Game of Thrones, without the smut. I find myself so pumped at the big moments and so invested throughout the journey. There are so many characters that all feel incredibly real. The dialogue is authentic and engaging. One of my favorite things about it is that the magic system feels almost scientific. It's interesting and complicated and believable. The series is ongoing and the 5th book just came out. I highly recommend getting into it. It is worth your time. The rest of this list I am sure you've heard of. These last 3 series are each legendary in their own rights, but this is the order in which I would place them among my favorites.
number 3, The Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis.
This is one series that I have read and reread. The books are shorter and easy reads, but that doesn't make them simple or uninteresting. Lewis's prose is just beautiful. His characters are endearing and frustrating and so incredibly human at times. I find each of them relatable at different points throughout the series. The Chronicles of Narnia mainly follow the adventures of the Pevensey children, who discover a magical world called Narnia and find themselves pulled into the battles between good and evil that occur in this fantastical land. Lucy, Peter, Susan, and Edmund each have their own strengths and weaknesses, and each has a beautiful story arc that is both incredible and relatable. Their interactions with the lion Aslan are awe-inspiring. There are so many other characters that will capture your heart, like Mr. Tumnus and Reepicheep, and you will travel through the Narnian world, encountering magical creatures and dangers galore. The best way I can summarize the series is that it is wonderfully magical. As a child, all I wanted was to step through a wardrobe like Lucy and find myself in a world of magic. I still enjoy reading these books to this day, and I began reading them to my son while he was in the womb.
Number 2, Harry Potter by J.K. Rowling.
The other series that captured my heart as a child and gave me that strange sense of longing for a place I'd never been was Harry Potter. This series will always have a special place in my heart. I started reading the books when I was 8 years old, and when the movie started coming out, I was 11. Yep, I'm the same age as Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson. I can't tell you how exciting it was to grow up with my favorite characters. My adolescence was spent attending midnight premieres of the later movies and midnight book releases at Barnes & Noble each time the newest books came out. My friends and I watched and rewatched Prisoner of Azkaban every time we had a sleepover. We quoted the movies incessantly, dressing up in costumes, made wands, and theorized how the series would end. In college, I became obsessed with the parody musical by Star Kid. My sister and I attended a Harry Potter convention. Needless to say, it has been an obsession for most of my 35 years of life. But even if you didn't get the incredibly unique experience that I had, this series is still magical and exciting to this day. My sister-in-law just read it for the first time last year and became obsessed. It is just that good. The writing is cheeky and thoughtful, the world building is incredibly detailed and unique, the characters are funny and tragic and flawed and dynamic. There are plot twists that I will never forget, and friendships that feel incredibly real. There is a reason this series remains so popular and has become one of the most widely read series of all time. If you haven't read it, what are you doing? Okay, after hearing my love letter to Harry Potter, you might be wondering what could possibly top that.
Number 1, The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien.
Maybe you aren't surprised to find that it's The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. Second only to C.S. Lewis and my favorite writers, since they were friends in real life, I don't think they will mind, is Tolkien. His prose is some of the best I have ever read. This series was iconic before the incredible early 2000s movies came out, another incredible experience as a kid that I will never forget. This series has my favorite characters of all time. It was hard to choose, though I am partial to Sam. But Aragorn, Arwen, Gandalf, Pippin, the list goes on. There are so many amazing characters and such immersive world building that you truly feel like you are there with the Fellowship as they seek to destroy the One Ring. Tolkien has set the stage for all fantasy writers that have followed him. He really built his world in so much detail that it feels real. And that's it for my favorite series. I could go on and on about some of these, but I hope this gave you some exciting new books to add to your TBR. I understand that committing to a book series, especially one as long as the Stormlight Archive or ACOTAR, can be intimidating. So I hope this helps you to narrow down what you find worth the commitment. There are a lot of series that I haven't gotten to start yet, but I am dying to read. So stay tuned because I definitely plan on getting into those in the future. If you have a recommendation, I would love to hear about it. Thanks for watching my video, and until next time, happy reading.